Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see this time we are going to check fresh release from IBG Models. This kit is molded in 1/35 scale, and as you can see it copies 3RO Italian truck. You can see it on the box art, but the interesting thing about it is that in this kit we also get 100mm Howitzer, which is placed in the rear section of this truck. So you get to replicate quite an interesting modification of this truck. And now we have a commercial sample, so it means you get exactly the same kit if you order it from any good model shop or maybe directly from IBG Models website. And now we will open it and take a look inside. So first of all, box size is quite big, I would say, for the truck. Here you can see comparison with my hand. And also on the side you can hear the sound. I guess there are a lot of loose parts, but here on the side you can see some other kits from the same manufacturer. Some of them were reviewed in our YouTube channel, so I recommend to watch those reviews as well. And here you can see two marking options which are included into this kit. I hope there are more, but as you can see on the side of the box we found only two. So let's open it. It's a top loading box. Here I just open it and there is nothing else. Note that top part is quite thin and flexible, so be sure to ask its seller to pack it thoroughly, because otherwise you might have a problem. And here you can see what is actually inside. I'm not sure why wheels are separate. As you can see, wheels are just lying in the box. Nevertheless, we put this box here, and we are going to start with this plastic sprue. As you can see, plastic bags are sealed, so I'm going to cut through them. By the way, in the meantime, let me remind you that you can support us financially. It is quite easy because it's done via PayPal. You just click the donate button on our website, and that's pretty much all you will have to do in order to support us. I mean, you choose the amount and you send it to us. And be sure all this money will be used in order to improve the reviews, or maybe bring some interesting kits into our video reviews, because otherwise we are unable to purchase them, let's say. So first of all, we have here first plastic sprue. I guess this one will be interesting because here we have the floor, let's say, for the rear section. And as you can see, we have this special ring for installation of the Howitzer in the rear section. And here, by the way, you can see the parts for the main frame. As you can see, that's a quite complex one-piece part which has a lot of attachment points, so be sure to cut them all off. But otherwise I don't see any problems. So let's do the zoom mode so that you can see all those parts closer. But first let me tune the frame rate, because as far as I can see, frame rate is slightly low, so I guess in slow motion you won't be able to see that much. Now let's focus the camera and let's go with zoom mode. Molding quality looks as good as in any other IBG Models kits, so I guess here you won't have any problems. And next we have another plastic sprue. Here manufacturer placed parts for the front cap and also for the rear section. As you can see here, we have the walls which are molded separately. And even though it might look that there is a wooden texture, those panels are quite plain. So if you would like to have a more convincing texture, I would recommend to use some weathering techniques in order to make it look like real wood. Now let's zoom in and take a look at all those parts. Okay, so that was the second plastic sprue from the first plastic bag. Nevertheless, we have more plastic bags. Here is another one. And again, I will use this magic tool in order to open it and take a look inside. So just give me a second. But from what we see, the molding quality is really good. I did not find any possible problems on the previous two frames. So let's hope those next frames will be as good as the first ones. So first of all, we have set of really tiny parts. Why? Because those elements will be used for the engine detailing and also for suspension detailing. And just to remind you about the size, here you can see comparison with my finger. They're really small, and with some of this you have to use tweezers because otherwise it will be tricky to install them into the necessary spot. Now let's zoom in and take a more careful look in our traditional zoom mode. Attachment points are thin enough in order to carefully separate the parts, but in some points they might require some due attention because, the part is as thick as the attachment part, so you will have to be careful. Here we have the fourth plastic sprue. As you can see here, we have the those bars for the main frame, also parts for the engine, this one-piece seat part, wheel arches, also some walls for the front cab, and separate bonnet parts. So basically, I guess you can open the bonnet and expose the engine which will be placed inside. That's a really cool feature, and there is no detailing on the bonnet panels inside. That's not such a cool feature. And note that engine parts, they do not have any guiding elements as far as you can see, so you have to be careful while combining them together. Nevertheless, let's zoom in and take a closer look once again. Let's move on. It's quite interesting that bonnet will be openable as far as I can guess. At least there is some possibility, because some manufacturers just hate openable bonnets. They still make them closed even though there is a fully detailed engine. They decide to mold the bonnet shut. It's quite strange design decisions in my opinion, and I'm not sure why manufacturers still doing it, because it's already 2019, so I guess there should be some way to include parts which can be opened in the model, but still we get the models with old design, let's say. Here you can see another plastic sprue. This one is more concerned with suspension parts, and also here we have one piece steering wheel, and overall molding quality is really nice. Here you can see those thin parts. That's a perfect example that there is no flash around the parts even in such extreme cases. But now we are going to zoom in and you will see those parts closer. Okay, we can move on to the next plastic sprue. Again, here we have various parts for the suspension. For example, leaf springs, here you can see them. And also what I found interesting is that we have the front grille with this huge cutout. I guess maybe this radiator will be seen through it, or maybe there will be some P parts used in order to have a more convincing finish. And by the way, note here we have the perfect example of why the tight packaging is not good. As you can see, this part is really thin and it was bent by some other parts, so be sure to check those parts if you have a possibility to do so. Nevertheless, let's zoom in and take a closer look at all those parts. It is quite a pity that this part got damaged because of the tight packaging, and let's hope that your kit will arrive intact. Nevertheless, we move on to the next plastic bag. Here we have several small sprues. I guess there won't be any bigger sprues, so it will be interesting to see what is placed on the smaller frames. It is also worth noting that here we have the same traditional IBG plastic, which is, as you can see, quite rough. I can even do it in front of microphone. You heard it. It's quite tough plastic. I would say it's unusual, and it has its own, I would say, requirements when you work with it, so keep it in mind. It's not as soft as in some other manufacturer kits. So here we have another small plastic sprue, or let's say the first small plastic sprue here, and this one is more dedicated to the Howitzer. So as you can see, all those parts will be used for something what will be installed in the rear section. And here already we have some small amounts of flesh on thin parts, which will have to be cleaned with sharp knife. So let's do the maximum zoom, focus the camera, and do the zoom mode. I'm not sure why on the previous parts it was quite clean molding quality, but here we have the flesh. Why I corrected? Because I don't see any flesh on the next frame, so it is quite interesting situation. But here, as you can see, we have wheel arches for the rear section. We have also various panels again for the rear section. Now let's do the zoom mode. Nevertheless, there are more plastic bags, so here we have another one, and here surprisingly we have one plastic bag packed, actually one plastic sprue packed in single bag. It's quite unusual after what we saw, that each bag was dedicated to the pair of various sprues. Here we have a quite unusual, I would say, configuration. Okay, so here we have the road wheels, but those small road wheels will be used for the different purpose. And now we can zoom in and do the zoom mode once again. So as you can guess, those wheels won't be used in the build. Why? Because this kit, today's kit, actually combines two kits in one. And here we have another plastic sprue, again packed into the separate plastic bag, by the way. Of course, having the extra wheels is really good for us who like to do something by scratch building, because those parts will go into spare parts. And here we have another plastic sprue. This one will be used for the Howitzer. And as far as you can see, all those parts are molded nicely. Now we can just do the zoom mode so that you can see it with your own eyes. Okay. There are several more parts for this Howitzer. So first of all, I would like to show those wheels. Actually, let's go with the Howitzer parts. We will finish them. So here we have another plastic sprue, and as you can guess, this one is dedicated to the main barrel, because main barrel should be glued out of several halves, actually 2 halves. And here you can see them in their all glory. Of course, we won't be doing the zoom mode for those parts, because I guess there is no sense in this. You can see it now, and here it is shown from the other side. So we have those middle sections which will serve as the guiding elements. There are no pins, but those parts will help you. And overall molding quality looks really good, so I guess there won't be any difficulty with this part. And now we can move on to something I've shown you before. So here we have the Ziploc bag, surprisingly. Here manufacturer placed the wheel rims. So as you can see, wheel rims are molded like this. Here you can see them from the other side. Nevertheless, we will do the zoom mode so that you can see all those parts closer. Okay, so those were the wheel rims. Nevertheless, I would like to show you also the tires. And now I can understand why tires were flying around my box. Why? Because I had the torn away plastic bag. So that's why they should have been in this special plastic bag. Nevertheless, it was torn. So that's why I had tires all over the box. Nevertheless, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tires. They're all the same as far as I can see, so I will show you only one tire. And let's refocus the camera like this. Now you should be able to see it. So let's do the zoom mode. Of course, it's really cool to see the plastic wheels instead of typical vinyl parts. Nevertheless, there will be some requirements, for example, to delete the bars in the middle, so be ready to do this. Otherwise, you won't be able to assemble the full wheels for this truck. Here you can see small plastic sprues for the fuel cans, so I will show you only one. Of course, we won't be doing the zoom section for this because I don't see a point. As you can see, now those are typical fuel drums and fuel cans, actually, not the drums. So we have to combine those two halves, and we also have the separate handle. Inside, I don't see any guiding elements. I guess this cap will serve as a guiding element because, as you can see here, we have the special cutout. And overall molding quality seems to be fine, so I guess it will be easy to assemble those parts. And next we have also, by the way, here is another tire. So in total there are 7 tires. I guess that was the spare. And here we have another plastic bag. So let's open it. As you can see, this one is dedicated to clear parts, so there are 2 clear parts. And it's not difficult to guess that those ones will be used for the headlamps. Molding quality is really nice, but there are no masks included into this kit, so you will have to work with your own hands. Maybe use some liquid masks, maybe cut away from the masking tape. Now I'm opening something interesting because I found it below the assembly manual. It was hidden there, but it is really nice bonus. So just give me a second. Here you can see that we get the metal main barrel for the Howitzer, and that's really cool bonus because you won't have to deal with gluing two halves together. You get one piece part, which looks really impressive, and I appreciate that manufacturer decided to do this. And of course, another thing to keep in mind that the plastic part will go into our spare parts and might be used for some scratch building in the future. So here we have another plastic bag. Let's open it. Okay. Here manufacturer placed the decal sheet and also the PE thread. Let's check the PE thread first. Of course, we won't be doing the zoom section for this one as well because it's just a PE thread. So as far as I can guess, we have here parts for internal and external detailing. And overall, I think it will be easy to work with these parts. As far as I remember, I assembled several 1/72 scale kits from IBG Models with PE parts, and it was really easy. This one is 1/35 scale, so I guess you won't have any problems. And then we have decals from the tech mod. Here you can see them. Printing quality looks nice. Here we have all necessary symbols. I'm not sure how many marking options are there because, as you remember, on the box it was printed only 2 marking options. So let's move to assembly manual where we'll find the answer. So assembly manual looks like a typical large brochure with some safety advices on the front page. So there is no history note for those who love to read something before assembling the model. I guess you will have to find some history book if you would like to. Then here we have the parts map, and assembly process starts with wheels. Then we continue with the engine, and note that engine should be quite detailed. It combines a lot of parts, so be sure to spend some time for the painting purposes in order to get a really convincing finish. Then next we continue with the main frame. Here we install the wheel axle and also the leaf springs. Then we have also the fuel tank and again the leaf springs. I guess that's for the rear side. No, that's for the front. Here we again assemble the wheel axles. We assemble all together, connect them, let's say. Here, by the way, you can see the spare wheel, how it will be placed. You remember this bent frame? Well, you will have to deal with it somehow. I'm quite surprised that IBG decided to copy it with plastic. They did not use PE parts, because obviously this element could be copied with PE. Here we continue with radiator. We also install various small PE parts on the main frame. Note how many of them will be used here. It is quite surprising in my opinion. Here we continue with the seat, the driver's seat. It should be assembled on the floor out of several parts, as you can see. Multi-layer assembly, let's say. Here we continue with backside. Also here we have the fire extinguisher, as far as I can understand. Or maybe some bottle. Special one. Here we install the steering wheel with the dashboard and also various handles. And optional, we can open or close the door in the front cap, and it can be done from both sides, so the choice will be up to you. And next we continue with bonnet, and note that here bonnet is shown in the closed position. It is quite surprising. And on the next stages we are not offered to open it. So in case you would like to open it, you will have to do it with your own means. But as I said before, here as you can see, we will have to use the PE part in order to replicate the grille on this truck. Next we continue with installation of the wheel arches here and here. Then again we go for PE parts. Then we assemble the rear section with boxes here. We install everything on the main frame and connect together with wheel arches. Then we start assembling the Howitzer. And note that you get the choice. Either you assemble the plastic parts or you assemble the metal. I would rather install the metal and keep the plastic parts for the future, but it will be up to you how you will go with this choice. Here we continue with assembly, and then it's just the simple placement of this, let's say, the section on the rear section of the truck, and then all together they go onto the main frame. Here we continue with several fuel cans stored under the truck, and that's pretty much all. Here you can see the finished model. So in total you have to perform 42 steps in order to have your model ready to be painted and weathered. Here we have first marking option from 1941, and here is the second one from 1942. So only 2 marking options out of the box. If you would like to have more, you can find some reference guides with additional marking options for this truck. Nevertheless, I think out of the box we get quite a generous package, and with careful assembly you can get really nice result. And it's really cool that we have this thing out of the box. You won't have to deal with 2-piece main barrel. And of course I will be happy to hear your opinion about this kit. Write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Bye.